So, the trip that I was having was like, I was just laying there and like, I prayed a bunch, so then like the blue lightning flashed in my head. It's a great animation. The blue lightning was like, like flashed, which signaled like the DMT being released, right? Because you see
pineal gland.
Pineal gland, which is right here,
Right, if the pineal gland lines up exactly where the third eye would be.
Yeah, it does.
That's a trip and a half. Like the ancients understood what was going on.
I know, they did. So like right here, you can like see it, because your eyes are closed. You can tell it's here. And, usually it takes like 20 minutes, you're already asleep. But I was sitting there, so I had like some classical music that was just hearing at the time too. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, or just cycling tons of weird music, like classical and I don't remember. But, so I kept forcing myself to stay awake because I was writing stuff down. Yeah. So usually you're sleeping by this point because you're not supposed to be conscious. Yeah. But I kept writing important stuff down, which I have right here. Hold on.
Which is perseverance, which is an important trait.
Right. Oh my gosh, I have it right here. So while I was in that half sleep DMT induced state because of the blue lightning, which represents that it happened, right? Mm. I saw that lack of holiness, and then I was just sitting there thinking about damn, I need a girlfriend. That's what I was thinking at the time. And then all of a sudden, I felt this heartburn, and then I remembered I remember my dad explaining to me how Native Americans would take a small stone and they would suck on that to cause them to produce more saliva to get rid of the heartburn. So thinking about that, and then I just turned into a Native American sitting there on a stone. Yeah. So instead of the stone being in my mouth, I was sitting on it, and then the stone in my mouth just turned into an acid tap. Yeah. So this is all just happening to me. For all I know, this is my life right now. I am not in this bed anymore. And then I was just sitting here on Earth as Native American, and then all of a sudden I end up in Halloween land, which is the evil land, one step below Earth in
but not
evil.
Quite hell.
It's not hell, but it's just this weird evil land, I don't know,
it makes me think of the place before the gates of hell in Dante's Inferno, where he described with all the rings.
Yeah. But his reservoir explains it as Halloween land.
Yeah. So in Dante's Inferno, Dante actually starts on a mountain on Earth.
Like you.
But basically, it's actually, I'm calling it, everyone calls it Dante's Inferno, because that's the most famous part of it. It's written in 3 parts, Inferno, Purgatorio, and Paradiso.
Paradise.
And that's,
really?
Yeah, Paradise, yeah.
Right.
And, so that's, Hell,
Purgatory
and Heaven, and the full thing is called the Divine Comedy, but people kind of call it Dante's Inferno because that's the most famous part.
Right, sure.
Yeah. So he starts on a mountain, and he's transported down into hell to experience the afterlife. So he goes through all the afterlives, and all the afterlives are divided into 9 something. There's 9 circles of hell in hell. And at the beginning, there's limbo, and also the first circle, which is the gates, which is the not quite hell area. It's either for people who are basically unbaptized non-Christians or whatever, and it's not really hell. It just has a kind of scummy vibe.
And
overall.
This is Halloween land?
I think Halloween land fits that pretty well. Mm-hmm. And then there's people in there that are theoretically good, and this is where Dante meets Virgil, who guides him through hell. He goes through hell. It's interesting. The circles have interesting stuff. Some of it's kind of funny. He likes to call out leaders in Florence at the time by just putting them in hell. He put a couple.
He bumped into Joe Biden and
and I always find funny one of the particular punishments, which is the punishments for flatterers and liars who are buried up to their necks in bullshit.
That's a good one.
Yeah. But anyway, it's he goes through hell. An interesting bit is Satan's at the bottom in the middle of the 9th circle, frozen in ice, which is interesting, always.
Yeah. Weird. So there's I don't know, it was a video store kind of, I don't know why, but it was just kind of weird, kind of bad. And then, but the guy who knew me there, who was like, oh, you don't belong here.
There was a video store Halloween land?
Yeah, I guess. It wasn't a video store. I just picture him as a video store clerk.
Reservoir.
Yeah, right. So he's just a random guy sitting at a counter.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is this? He's like, oh, I know you.
What does video store clerk represent in Dante's
Video store
Inferno?
clerk is kind of a loser, but he's kind of
Like just a regular guy who's medium. Wow, medium.
slightly below average.
Okay, like Halloween land. Like Halloween land.
Lots of people hide in purgatory. What are you mad at me for? I don't do anything wrong. And then people just don't know how to say, well, you're in purgatory, not hell yet. Like, a lot of people seem to do that. They need to say is you need to strive for holiness, not just float around as nothing.
So he recognized me, and he knew that I was good. So then, he just shoots me straight up. He's like, you don't belong here. Boom! And I just get shot up through, like, hundreds of these different Earth lands that are all neutral and good or bad, but they're about progress. They're about the advancement in an adventure. So, anyways, after I see all these different places, which just from any narratives that exist, just throughout a video game, a book, a movie, anything, I see different things that represent the first part, the second, just like slowly advancing until I'm like 3/4 of the way there-ish, and then it's like in a mountain. So I'm like, I've been climbing a while, so it kind of represents about 3/4 of the way up a mountain. And like there's this dude pushing a cart, like some stone creature, weird thing.
I'm sorry, can I interject here?
Yeah.
Because we're in the mountain again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's purgatory in Dante's.
Well, that's what Earth is.
In Dante's Divine Comedy. That's how he describes purgatory. It's on Earth and it's a giant mountain.
Right, so
that
that's why I'm
people move
3/4
up.
of the way through
Yeah.
the adventure of Earth in this narrative. And I'm like on a mountain.
Okay.
And I see this old guy like pushing a cart, this old stone guy. He's like a stone golem type creature. He's like pushing this thing. He's like got a hood on, you can't really see him. He's like, do you want to go further? I'm like, sat there for a minute, and like the second I thought yes, I didn't even say yes. I thought it. Bah! He shoots me all the way up, right? And I see hot air balloons and aliens, and then I'm like interacting with the aliens, and then like, bah! I get shot down because like I wasn't supposed to be with the aliens. Crazy shit.
Gotcha, you know.
Yeah, I got shot back down.
I think that's wild. I don't know why God shot you away from the aliens.
Aliens are not good. Aliens are demons that.
Close remark.
It's yeah. It's right here. Aliens represent demons imposing themselves as God, trying to help you. That's what aliens are.
Kind of makes sense.
what they
how's my
are.
audio look, by the way?
They're like tricksters.
Yeah, you're a little quiet, Ben.
I'm quiet.
No, not if you
What
do that.
storybook archetype is that? Like the witch that tries to give fucking Snow White the poison apples?
Like the witch that gives Snow White the poison apples. I don't remember how that goes in the
Well, let's
story
think
actually.
more. So like, what is that archetype? That is something that
No, that's the trouble. I don't remember how
demonic
Snow White
creature,
goes very
and
well.
just pretends to be good. And
Yeah, it's just a trickster, demonic demon. Trickster demon. Those are real.
I have trouble
Yeah.
getting more specific because I actually can't remember how that goes in the
all right,
book.
that's fine.
So-
Pick a different one.
So like, what are you thinking of? I don't know.
We
what
all
you're
have
thinking
that
of.
narrative in our head, Ben. I think you're overthinking it because it's something that we all understand.
Hey, we just gotta think of a good example.
You can just make up I mean, it's Adam and Eve. It's simple. Don't.
Yeah.
Don't
Okay, so we're just
overcomplicate
getting
it.
into temptation here.
Do you think there's
And I
temptation?
should-
No, it's just the. We're not focusing on Adam and Eve in that story. We're focusing on the snake. The
Temptation,
snake.
yeah.
But it's not temptation. You're taking the wrong thing out of the story. The story is there is something that's doing the wrong task. Like, the snake is the one tricking them.
Yeah, when we talk about temptation as an archetype, we're usually talking about like the tempter, the temptress, or the tempter. I don't know. You know what I mean?
But
The snake
they can take other forms. It's not just tempting. It can be tricking. It can be, they can justify themselves to you.
So first of all, you're on the mountain,
Yep.
which is what in Dante's Inferno.
Purgatory is what we said, right?
But
Because
it's not that.
We don't need to. We already said that in the video.
Yeah,
we don't need
we
to.
just said it's not. It's Earth.
Okay, so then there's a traveler, the guy with the shopping cart, right?
He lives there. He is of the three.
He's a traveler, right?
No, he's not.
What would he be?
He's just the local of the
Like
town.
a Yoda archetype?
No.
No.
I don't know. He reminds me of this guy from. There's this Chinese story.
He reminds me.
Which I heard in elementary school, and it was like someone goes up to like to the top of the mountain where fate lives to like get their fate changed, and when they're halfway through the mountain, there's like a guy with a cart. He's important. So
Really?
yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is.
That's an old Chinese story.
Did you hear that story?
Probably. That sounds
Yeah.
familiar.
It
So
sounds
anyway,
like-
so there's some sort of. He's definitely like strange. He's a strange thing. You haven't experienced this guy, and he asks you want to go farther. You say yes, and you think
I
this
thought yes. That's the thing.
Thought yes, and not even.
So he knew. He was like. The point is, he seemed like an idiot, but he just had a strong aura. Like he seemed like a old stone golem was what he was. Like not an actual stone golem, but like he was just like you know, like just a little thing pushing this cart.
Weird.
Yeah, but like he represents the fact that I was like, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I kind of wanna, but I'm
then
not
boom,
gonna say it yet.
too late.
Yeah.
So even if you get to 51%.
Yeah, he's just
you're
like,
gone.
fuck, no, you're
And
gone.
then you
So
think
he was. So what you realize while you're being shot up is, okay, that guy was really smart. He was really important. What the hell? What did I do?
Yeah.
Because like you look at him and you're like, I don't know, this dude's kind of weird. I don't think so, but I'm interested. And then you go.
Yeah. And then up there was tricksters, which you did say.
Well, the hot
were
air balloons.
aliens.
It just starts off with regular things in the air, like birds, then hot air balloons, then like stuff like that as you're getting shot
So that's
up.
all cool.
But then you hit the aliens, and those are the bad things.
Yeah, so just be aware of tricksters, and if you get to the tricksters, what saves you? God. And he shot you back down.
Yep.
That's a fucking great story.
Okay, aliens are never good, obviously. Just
Yeah.
as a lesson to anyone watching this video, if you're interacting with aliens,
Stop, man.
Then he's travels upwards to purgatory in the second book called Purgatorio, and here purgatory is a mountain. So this is why I thought of the mountain thing, because purgatory is a mountain that's on Earth. It's considered to be on Earth in like the far unexplored Atlantic Ocean. Yeah. Actually, it's considered to be the easternmost part of the Earth, just in case anyone's wondering. But
I think it just represents the
Unknown.
spiritual adventure.
Earthly unknown.
it's weird
I
how
don't think it's earthly. I think it's spiritual, and you're just on Earth while you do it.
it is actually kind of interesting how purgatory here is on Earth. That is an interesting thing, because it's very different from how we think of purgatory now, where it's more of like an afterlife middle ground.
Yeah.
But here, purgatory is a mountain that souls climb to be redeemed of their sins. Every layer redeems the souls of another sin by some usually brutal exercise of some sort. Right? I said at the beginning of the work he's on a mountain, and he ends on the same mountain, right? I find this kind of interesting. Why does he start on a mountain? And what I'm thinking is that because he is Dante, he writes himself in as Dante.
I think it's a representation of nature, personally.
Well, I'm gonna go for a little theory here and say I think Dante thought of a lot of the Divine Comedy while he was walking up a mountain in real life. I'm making this up. This is a theory.
I know. Tripping.
Because that would explain why he has that framing device where he starts and ends on the mountain, but between the journey from hell to heaven. And it mirrors the specifically the middle leg of the journey, purgatory, is specifically a journey up a mountain. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I think he went. I think Dante walked up a mountain at some point and felt like walking up a mountain was the best metaphor for like getting past sins, and he used that to make the Divine Comedy.
It does make sense. I mean, getting past sins is a really hard trial, and it gets like it's what's the word? Not a linear line. Exponential. It gets exponentially harder.
Yeah.
The farther you go up an oxygen or a mountain, the less oxygen you have, and the more
steep it gets. Yeah. Yeah.
It's at least a good metaphor, and it's possible because it would at least be in his like reservoir if there's any mountains in Greece.
It also makes the Divine Comedy a little bit more applicable to life instead of just the afterlife, when you look at it like that. So they go up the mountain of purgatory through all 9 layers, and I think it's actually 7 layers plus 2 bullshit layers, so it still equals 9. You know.
Yep.
And then he he gets shot upwards to Paradis, to heaven, which in Paradiso.
Mine was like a false version of that.
Yeah, the aliens were real somewhere.
Yeah.
Aliens
And that's where Dante
gets
gets shot to the aliens.
Yeah, I don't think aliens are ever good.
No, aliens are not.
Yeah, he did get shot to the aliens instead, and then he got pushed down, which was interesting.
He did deal with aliens?
No, you.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was talking to Ted, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Yes, I feel like this is a representation. Like, I just kept getting shot around. Like, I wasn't adventuring. That's the problem.
Oh shit, that is.
But that kind of reminds me of Purgatory, because he's always guided somewhere by Virgil and then by Beatrice. You know?
Okay.
He's always like pulled around by someone else.
There's guides and just being shot around. You were just being shot around. Well, you did ask to go higher.
Yeah.
No, I never asked. I was sitting there like.
No. The guy asked to go higher, and you thought yes. And
well, I was like not sure. I was like, yes. And, yeah.
I
don't know,
that's
but
concern.
But it wasn't. I don't know.
It doesn't have
like
to be words.
Yeah, but I wasn't like sure in my head. I was just like 51% type. You know what I mean?
That's enough.
Is it?
Wait.
Yeah.
That's crazy.